one of the advantages to having this yearbook, which doesn't have hockey pool information, is that it gives you hockey stats information. And it gets into a tremendous amount of detail in terms of your different junior leagues, the American Hockey League, and the East Coast Hockey League gets some coverage. And of course, if you're ordering NHL 17, the ECHL will be in the new game. So I'm kind of excited about that because that's an extra 300-400 players. Now, if only they can get the rights to the KHL, then you got yourself a fantastic game. But I'm going to take a look at the European leagues here because there's some interesting stats and people in here. So where am I going to start? I guess we'll start with the Czech Republic, where the number one scorer was Roman Cervenka with 61 points in 49 games, followed by Daniel Pribble, who was Calgary property, Peter Van Pola, Yaroslav Bednar, who I thought of when I heard about the new Colorado coach, Jan Baktelli, Wojtek Nemec, Branko Radivojevic, and of course Branko Radivojevic played over here at one point, Peter Halik, Dominic Kubalik, who is LA property, Yaroslav Krachik, Michael Berner, Lucas Krenzulok, Jakub Valsky, Martin Bakos, and Yaroslav Holinka, who I believe that's Ivan Holinka's. He's related to him, I think. And then the top three goaltenders were Branislav Konrad, Libor Kasich, and Matej Machovsky. See, and this is where it gets interesting because Branislav Konrad, who played for Olomouc, had a 1.83 goals against and a 923 save percentage. This is why when people talk to me and they say, oh, well, this goalie was great in Europe and he had this and this, and I hear all these stats and it's like, it's Europe. It is not the NHL. There are goaltenders who put up tremendous stats in Europe who never play in the NHL. It's not an insult to Europe. It's a different game. It's a different league. So that's Czech. Now, Germany. This is where a lot of former NHLers go to hide out. So let's check out their top 10. Patrick Reimer, Steven Reinprecht, Will Acton, Daniel Pieta, Jonathan Matsumoto, I don't know why I said Muto, Brandon Buck, Luigi Caparuso, Philip Gogula, Andrew LeBlanc, Norman Milley, Sebastian Ferkner, Patrick Hager, Mike York, Tyler Haskins, and Nicholas Peterson. So Milley is an NHL veteran. Mike York played over here as well. Will Acton was actually a Vancouver. They got him for Kellen Lane from Edmonton. He never played. Neither did Kellen Lane. It was just a trade of guys who were done. Ryan Precht was Vancouver property at one point. The number one goaltender, Chet Pickard. I mentioned Pickard, of course, when I was doing a hockey card opening thing. Matthias Niederberger is the goaltender for Dusseldorf. Has a 930 save percentage, 2.27. He's not bad in the NHL games I've played. If I use him, he's actually not too bad. And Gustav Westlau is the third-rated goaltender with a 928 save percentage. So again, when people come to me and they go, hey, what about this guy? And they throw European stats at me, I go, those are great European stats. But he's got to play over here before we can have any idea what he's like. Now, Slovakia. Kamil Brabenek, Uri Maiden, Lucas Vila, Radovan Pulis, Jan Semerad, Peter Bartos. Did Bartos play over here? Pavel Klufak, Jakub Ruke, David La Liberty, Tibor Varga, Arnie Krotek, Marcel Holovic, Juraj Stefanka. He's useful in the game. He's useful in NHL games. Peter Abdrzalek. I am not even going to try it. And Yuri Bichek. And in goal, Uri Halo. Oh man, how many people would want to see? But he only played 2 games. What exactly is the cutoff here for being your regular season leader? Because Uri Halo's played 2 games, had a 1.33 goals against and a 958. How do you get a 1.33 goals against with 2 games? And then Adam Nagy played 4 games. Thomas Hallis played 19, and it's a 50-game regular season. Something doesn't add up there. Something really doesn't add up there. Sweden. So now you're getting into a combination of good young players, some veterans, and some guys who sign over in Europe because they're done over here. Ryan Lash, Patrick Thorson, still playing. Patrick Thorson still playing. Patrick Zackerson, Milan Gulas, Richard Gingy, or Gingy, doesn't matter. Andreas Johnson, who belongs to Toronto. Andrew Gordon, who is North American. John Norman, Garrett Rowe, Matt Anderson, Michael Johansson, Robert Rosen, Greg Scott, not to be confused with Great Scott, Joel Lundqvist, and Daniel Vixton. And then in net, Lars Johansson, who is Chicago property, at a 1.74 goals against and a 927 save percentage. Marcus Svensson had a 1.84 and 922 save percentage. And in third place, Justin Pogge. Pogge's still playing, boys and girls. In 26 games, he had a 2.10 goals against and a 922 save percentage. So again, take stats from over there with a grain of salt. Let's see where Johansson fits in on the Chicago depth chart, if at all, in terms of prospects. That's Colorado. Shannon, move another one further. He's not in their top 10. And he was just signed as a free agent last May. So I guess they could bring him over. Well, I mean, yeah. In net, he would probably be the number 3 guy because Matt Carruth is in there, and he only played last year in Indy. So he's coming out of the East Coast League. Hey, Chicago, you kind of need a third-string goaltender. Unless this Johansson is worthy of that 1.74 goals against average. Finland, Christian Kusela, David McIntyre, Teemu Ramstead, Thomas Zaborski, Aaron Gagnon, he was a North American, Vili Valati, Chad Rao, Tony Kovisto, Sebastian Aho of Carolina had 45 points in 45 games, Tommy Kallio, Josh Green. I love Josh Green, good player. Not NHL caliber, but, hard worker, and he stuck with it for quite a while before he went to Europe. Michael Ruhama, Jarkko Malinen, Jukka Peltola, and David Spina. And then in net, Ville Husso, who is St. Louis property, 1.91 goals against with 927 save percentage. Ryan Zapolsky is second with a 927 save percentage and a 1.95 goals against. And Eero Kilpalainen had a 927 save percentage and a 2.02 goals against. So it's nice that they shared the save percentage. They all went 927. It's like they all got together and they said, all right, we're going to tie. We want to all win. It's like a Canadian meeting. Switzerland. So again, Switzerland, you're going to look at probably some guys who were in the NHL and aren't anymore. The scoring champion was Pierre-Marc Bouchard. Minnesota Wild fans will remember that name. Perttu Lindgren, Lino Marchini, Corey Conacher, who's coming back, I believe. Robert Nilsson. Go Islanders, go. Mark Weiser, Linus Klassen, Frederick Peterson, Josh Holden. Josh Holden is still playing hockey. That's freaking amazing. Austin Matthews had 46 points in 36 games. So Josh Holden can say he outscored Austin Matthews for 1 year. Isn't that great? I think that's great for Josh Holden. Harry Passonen, Jarkko Immonen, Andreas Ambuel, who, because Ambuel's his name, I always see him at the top of any free agent list. I always think, wow, that guy's still playing. Matt D'Agostini, and Inti Pistone. And then in net, Nicholas Schlegel, Elvis Merzlikins, who is Columbus property, 922 save percentage, and Robert Mayer. Mayer, that's the one that was Montreal property. And he got called up, and they're like, oh, he came out of nowhere, and this kid's going to be whatever. And then he went back to Europe because he never got a shot. On TV, Jenny Bouchard is trying to blow a first round match. So she's doing her best. She looks fantastic, but she's not very good at closing out a match. And I get tired of watching tennis matches, and when you see, okay, now just smash it really hard, and she just taps it and gives them a chance to come over and get it. It's like, no, Jeannie, you're not supposed to let them come over and get the ball. Smash the ball, Jeannie. Getting tired of it. The KHL. And this is the one where everybody says, oh, this guy's tearing up the KHL, this guy's fantastic. And I look and I go, well, wait a minute. KHL, see, the number one scorer is Sergei Mozyakin. Second was Alexander Radulov. And third, Brandon Bochenski. Fourth, Vadim Shipichov, who I believe there was a bidding war on in the offseason, and he stayed in the KHL. Then Linus Ullmark. That's right, Edmonton. Linus Ullmark is a top 5 scorer in the KHL, that tremendously fantastic league that I keep hearing about. Matt Ellison, Danis Zarapov, Nigel Dawes is number 8. He's almost point a game over there. Justin Azevedo, Jan Kovar, Ilya Kovalchuk only had 16 goals in 50 games last year. That was why when people are talking about, oh, maybe Kovalchuk's coming back to the NHL, and I see like excitement about it, it's like, you guys understand he's done? Like it's over for him? Brandon Kozun, Peter Regan. Peter Regan has got 48 points in 60 games. Peter Regan. Wojtek Wolski. So Voltron is still kicking ass. 47 points in 54 games last year. Lucas Kaspar. That'll be a familiar name to San Jose fans. Evgeny Dadonov, who's still Carolina property. Anatoly Golashev, who's Islanders property. Andrei Pedersen, who's Anaheim property. Igor Grigorenko, who failed to make the NHL. Daniel Palkov, Dustin Boyd. So there's a familiar one to Calgary fans. 41 points, 50 games. Here's one for fans of numerous teams. Cam Barker had 40 points in 55 games. Cam Barker. I watched him in Vancouver. Okay. Kevin Dahlman, Andrei Kostitsyn, Timo Hardikainen, Alexei Svetkov, Jonathan Chichu played for Minsk last year, got 38 points in 54 games. See, you find out guys are still playing hockey, you go, he's retired. Maybe out of the NHL he's retired, but not out of hockey. Matt Robinson, Dmitry Kagarlitsky? Yeah, that's it. Oscar Moeller, I should say, who played in Chilliwack here. Still LA property. 37 points, 58 games. Peter Kukal, Chris Lee, Yegor Avernin, Igor Bortnikov, and just for the fact Bort's in his name, I want him to come over. And then Nikolai Prokorin, who's still LA property, 36 points of 55 games. Now, goaltenders. Who the hell made this up? This is stupid. Alexei Murgin, 1.13 goals against, 954 save percentage is number 1. Number 2 is Ilya Sorokin, Islanders property, 28 games, 1.06 goals against average, 953 save percentage. So they're just going by save percentage. That's weird. Alexander Salak, 938. Stanislav Galimov, 938. And Ivan Lasutin, 938. We look at goals against, 1.13, 1.06, 1.89, 1.51, 1.86. So when I hear somebody saying, oh, this team should sign this goaltender because they've got below a 2.0 goals against average in KHL. Okay, well, this is a league where your top 10 scorers include Nigel Dawes and Brandon Bochenski. and goaltenders regularly post goals against averages of below 2. This is why whenever I hear so-and-so is coming over from Europe, that's what I picture. That's why I have a hard time. Yes, some guys come over and it's Panarin and he's fantastic. Sometimes he comes over and it's Plotnikov or it's Jervenka and it just doesn't work out. You know, this is how hockey is. The NHL is a league that is so far above every other league. The only exception is the AHL. The AHL has some fantastic hockey in it. And I'm just going to look quickly here. And yet, even in the KHL, your number one scorer was Chris Bork, who won't play in the NHL. He's simply not capable. He's the example of the guy who is good enough to be a star in the AHL, but he can't play a role in the NHL. Seth Griffith was number 2. There's no guarantee he's an NHLer yet either. I mean, I know Boston's counting on him this year. There's no guarantee. TJ Brennan, Koklachev, he's gone back to Europe. Dustin Jeffrey, he's not an NHLer. Andrew Miele, not an NHLer. Austin Zarnik, he played well for Providence. There's no guarantee he goes to Boston this year either. Bud Holloway, he's a career minor leaguer who gets the odd game in the NHL, and good for him. Mikko Rantanen, he is going to play in Colorado this year. Mark Arcobello. Arcobello is good enough to be in the NHL, but he doesn't stand out, and he does make the odd mistake, and because of his standing, it only takes a couple of mistakes and he's back in the American Hockey League. Brendan Ranford, I keep track of this kid because his stats were always good in junior, and then he didn't get drafted, and then he gets signed by Dallas after he was good for Texas, and it's like Texas, and he's kind of been just quietly making his way up through the rankings. And he had a game in Dallas a couple of years ago, so he's been called up. He's on the radar. I never see him on any kind of depth chart. I never see him as a prospect anywhere. I don't see any kind of a star next to like, watch this kid. But you just never know. I don't know. I think for a bottom 6 guy, I think eventually he gets there. Kenny Agostino, Chris Mueller, Brandon Montour, who's going to play this year. Eric Tingrady, Carter Rowney, Cole Schneider, who's been a farmhand forever now, it seems. Colin Smith, Frank Vetrano, Riley Barber, Curtis McKenzie, Derek Ryan, Sean Backman, Phil Verone, and Ryan Carpenter. And then the number 1 goaltender in the American Hockey League last year was Peter Budaj, 1.75 goals against, .932 save percentage. Second was Matt Murray with a 2.10 and a .931 save percentage. So now, at an NHL level, would you put Peter Budaj in net ahead of Matt Murray? Of course not. But at an AHL level, Budaj's the better goaltender. It is a curiosity to me that it works out this way. And I just find it really weird. It's like Christos Kozlevskis played great at the Olympics, has played great any time that he gets called up to Tampa. He's looked fantastic, but he doesn't look great for their farm team. He just doesn't. And it doesn't make any sense. 907 save percentage, 283 goals against. Vasilevsky played 12 games in Syracuse, had 1.94 goals against and .935 save percentage. It doesn't make any sense. And here's Jack Campbell, 19 games for Texas, 3.65 goals against and an .884 save percentage. And then they shipped him off in the offseason to LA for Nick Ebert. And I'm very happy about that because I will never have to hear about Jack Campbell again as a Dallas prospect. Which exposes the fact Dallas doesn't have a prospect in net. Unless you count Philip DeRoche, and I don't. Or Max Legacy, and I don't really count Max Legacy either. Or John Muse. No. I don't even think any of them are counted in the Dallas prospects. I'm cheating. I'm going ahead. I'm looking at a team that I haven't looked at yet on a video, so I apologize. This video is basically meant as a, here you go, guys. I get asked regularly, well, what about this and this player and this stat and this player and this stat? Look, if you're coming in from other leagues, whether it's Europe, even the American League, your stats in those leagues are fine, but they don't matter. Because guys have put up great stats in other leagues, come into the NHL, and laid an egg, and it happens. So if your team is on that bubble and you're going, we'll be fine because we got these two guys coming in from the KHL, look out. We'll be fine. We got some guys coming in from Europe. They're 25. They're going to be great. They're all ready. Undrafted. Okay, why weren't they drafted? Why did it take till they were 25 before they got brought over? How many all-star defensemen have come over and played who weren't drafted and didn't even get signed by an NHL team till they were 25? How often does that happen? Oh God, they're bandaging Jeannie Bouchard's foot. And the Czech girl just looks aggravated at this point. She's looked aggravated the whole match. I don't really blame her. And because it's Jeannie, TSN's cameras will stay with this. I mean, technically it's ESPN, but TSN can cut away from the feed and do a commercial. I think the aggravation on her face is awesome, though. It's like it's hot out. Oh, Jeannie's getting ready to go. I got her all bandaged up. But now she has a built-in excuse for when she doesn't win the match. That's usually the way it works. Well, I hit my head. Well, the sun was in my face. Well, I got confused because the tennis balls were a little too fuzzy. Whatever the excuse may be. Anyways, so that's unrelated, obviously. But that's my view on the whole European League, the foreign leagues. Oh, have you seen this? Until they play in the NHL, until I see them at least in preseason action, I can't make an opinion one way or the other on whether or not I think they're going to make it. And even in preseason, Sergei Shirokov, Brandon Reed, who's the other one? I want to say Justin Schultz. It was Jesse Schultz. Jesse Schultz in Vancouver. You can't tell. You just can't tell. Until that regular season puck drop, you just can't tell. So, anyways, thanks for watching. I will be back again later. It's a nice kind of gray day out, so I may take the computer out and see what kind of footage I can shoot around town. Thanks for watching.